he's striving and driving and hugging the turns and thinking of someone for whom he still burns. 'Cause he's going the distance, he's going for speed. She's all alone in a time of need. Because he's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and biting and riding on his horse. He's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and biting and riding on his horse. He's going the distance, he's going for speed. He's going the distance.
So that was a nice bit of Cake to get us started off. That was Cake with The Distance. You're listening to The Bridge here on Eden FM 107.5. I'm your host LJ, and thank you very much for joining me. You make it all worthwhile. And I mean that from the deepest parts of my heart. I sincerely do mean that. I do say it a lot, but I do mean it. We move back to the charts of yesteryear for our very next song, and that will be from 2004 and from Kasabian. Kasabian were brand new into this week's chart of 2004 with this next track, in at number 19. Clubfoot.
Let's get busy!
So that was Kasabian with Club Foot. It was brand new into this week's chart of 2004, 2004, whichever way you want to say the year. But it was this week, it was in at number 19 for Kasabian. That was Club Foot. We move to something brand new for you though. Up next, this is Leisure with On My Mind. They are a band from Auckland, New Zealand, and I know very little about them than that. So have a listen to the music and see what you think of it. On My Mind, Leisure.
Crazy bug, I can't seem to shake you out of clover. Pull the plug, still not losing hate, I need you closer. You're the best, this is how I know that it ain't over. Ship that would never work out as an option. Keeping grip, now I'm letting go into your ocean. You sneak up and fix everything that has become broken. Crazy bug, I can't seem to shake you, have the power.
So that was the first instalment of the brand new music on today's show. You're listening to The Bridge here on Eden FM 107.5. That was entitled On My Mind. It is from Leisure. They are a band from Auckland, New Zealand. And that's all I know, but I am posting up a link to their Twitter feed, so if you want to find out more about them, then that could be your first port of call. So we move on with the show, as moving backwards, as I like to say, is impossible. Unless, of course, you're listening on a repeat, and then you can just rewind it. Anyway, up next, we're listening to the Rascal King from the mighty, mighty Boss Tones. So mighty, they had to name themselves twice.
What he was fueled by a lack, drew inspiration from and made so many problems to crack and miles to fade. Crooked was the path phrasing was the walk. A cocky swagger up the ladder. Could he ever talk? Last around, do it again. The rascal king behind the bars, or the one in front of them. Last around, do it again. The rascal king behind the bars, or the one in front of them. The love of God and constant contradictions, and just a smile, wink and nod. What stranger fact of fiction that never ceasing to amaze. On a regular basis, first hand into his pocket, or first fist into the faces. And it's the last hurrah, do it again. The rascal king behind the bars, or the one in front of them. Last hurrah, do it again. The rascal king behind the bars, or the one in front of them. A legendary character, where only there, when only there. A hero or a hooligan, well that part's never clear. Pride of shame and soulless, and who's innocent and who's to blame. Politics are just a game, well in the end they knew his name. Last around, do it again. It's the rascal king behind the bars, or the one in front of them. Well, it's the last hurrah, do it again. It's the rascal king behind the bars, or the one in front of them.
The mighty, mighty Boss Tones with the Rascal King. You're listening to Eden FM 107.5, and thank you very much for doing so, ladies and gentlemen. You make it all worthwhile. You are Eden FM. It's your voice, your choice here in the Eden Valley as well. So we're going to move to the first ad break of today's show, and then we've got plenty of features still to come. We've got 2 for Friday, and we've got you covered. There is plenty of features. If you don't know what they mean, stick around. I'll tell you more about them in due course. So just after this short ad break, we'll be back with some more music. There it is.
LJ on Eden FM.
There's a lot more than posters at Penrith Posters. From a single photocopy through to wedding stationery, business printing, and of course, those posters. Penrith Posters is the place you need. Our design team will help with any project, bringing your vision to reality. Whether you need business cards, takeaway menus, leaflets, personal and business stationery, or printing your photographs onto canvas, call in and see us at Penrith Posters in Market Square.
Your community station. Your 107.5 Eden FM.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to The Bridge. It's the 5th episode of The Bridge, and it is the bridge between the working week and the wonders that the weekend has in store. I'm your host, LJ. I'm here each and every Friday between the hours of 6 and 8. That would be UK time, whichever country it is that you're listening to today's show. Thank you very much for joining us. So we move on to Ready to Go. That's the one.
Ready to go. Ready to go.
So we've got some history to tell you about, so I should really choose a instrumental for the background for when we're talking about the history of the week. But these were some of the news stories from many moons ago, but this very week. So here we are. We start off with 39 years ago, 1980. Pac-Man was released in Japan, and that seems, well, quite some time ago, doesn't it? Anyway. That was this very week, back in 1980. But also, if we want to go back even further, let me grab my notes so I can see them a little bit easier. 146 years ago, 1873, Jacob Davis and Levi Strauss received their patent for blue jeans with copper rivets, which is the way they still make them. I've still got another history fact for you from this week, but we'll save that for later on in the show. What have we got up next? Well, we're going to be talking to you about the album in focus very shortly, so there is one song between us and that, and if you were not listening to Wednesday's show, it's okay, we won't hold it against you, but we will be returning to the album in focus from it. We did hear two songs from Born on a Pirate Ship, which is the third studio album from the Bare Naked Ladies, the Canadian rock band. We'll be hearing another song from them in just a moment, after we've heard New York Groove. You're listening to Eden FM 107.5, and thank you very much for doing so, ladies and gentlemen. Back in the New York Groove, or just New York Groove as it's entitled. That was from Mike Lena? I'm not entirely sure how to say his last name. But anyway, if you type in New York Groove, you'll find that song if you're looking for it. We're going to move back to the album in focus, not back to the New York Groove. Not quite yet.
The album in focus.
So, our album in focus for this week is from the Bare Naked Ladies. It is their third studio album, and it was released back in 1996. It didn't smash all charts, and it hasn't had rave reviews. It has only received 2 out of 5-star rating from AllMusic, which is where I check my ratings. So to try and back myself up here, but at this juncture, they're not actually backing me up very much, and the reason is that it was just before the band went really into stardom with their very next album. So this is the album just under boil beforehand. The track we're going to hear from the album is actually the single released from the album, and the most successful single released from the album. It was released in America and charted at 111. So it gives you an idea of how the album is a little bit more of a cult album. It took a little bit of a while before it bubbled to the surface. I would highly recommend you add it to your collection, though. So we move to The Old Apartment, an excellent track from a very excellent album.
Broke into the old apartment. This is where we used to live. Broken glass, broken hungry, broken hearts and broken bones. This is where we used to live. Why did you paint the walls? Why did you clean the floor? Why did you plaster over the hole I punched in the door? This is where we used to live. Why did you keep the mousetrap? Why did you keep the dish rack? These things used to be mine. I guess they still are. I want them back. Broke into the old apartment. 42 stairs from the street. Crooked landing, crooked landlord, narrow laneway filled with crooks. This is where we used to live. Why did they pave the lawn? Why did they change the law? Why did I have to break it? I only came here to talk. This is where we used to live. How is the neighbor downstairs? How is her temper this year? I turned up your TV and stomped on the floor just for fun. I know we don't live here anymore. We bought an old house on the Danforth. She loves me and her body keeps me warm. And I'm happy here. This is where we used to live. Broke into the old apartment. Tore the phone out of the wall. Lonely memories, fading memories, blending into those tableau. I want them back. I want them back. This is where we used to live. I want them back. This is where we used to live.
So that was The Old Apartment, taken from the album in focus from this week, which is Born on a Pirate Ship. It is the third studio album from the Bare Naked Ladies, the Canadian rock band, and they say I want them back leads me on to my next fact about this album. And there is one track on the album entitled Back, and as ever on every album they've ever recorded, there is one track that they record completely naked, which is the reason why I didn't play that song on the radio. It's entitled Back, so do keep an ear out for that if you're going to listen to the album, as it is X-rated just because they are naked when they recorded it. So I thought it wasn't quite ready for the radio. We're going to move on with the show. So we talk about The Old Apartment, and now we move to A Happy House from Susie and the Banshees. So that was Susie and the Banshees with Happy House. You're listening to Eden FM, and we're going to move to the movies. And now we're going to tell you about what is brand new in the cinema for this week. And it's just one highlight each and every week. So long as we can fill that one slot, that one request for a movie to talk to you about, and then we shall continue to do so. Well, sometimes it does get a little sparse around Christmas time. I know that's really not the time to be talking. This is not the time to be talking about Christmas, as the sun is beaming through the window here. So as I say, just one movie to recommend for this week, and that is The Secret Life of Pets 2. Now, I'm pretty sure it will be self-explanatory in the movie, so I don't imagine you'll have to have seen the first one. But we find out we try to see whether Max the overprotective family dog, can overcome his fears with Duke and all his friends at his side. Well, to find out more, the only place to go would be to the cinema this week. That is the new release in the cinema, Rated U. So Universal, all fun for the family. I would suggest you find out a little bit more before you part with your hard-earned cash and book your tickets. There is also a link that I am posting up to the trailer as well on Twitter. So if you want to find out more about that, that could be your first port of call. We now move on with the show. Up next, we hear from Weird Al Yankovic with a parody song about a movie. I won't tell you what movie it is right now, as it will be fairly obvious in just a moment. But it is a parody of the Presidents of the United States of America's song Lump. So, you're listening to Eden FM 107.5, and if you're at a loose end, then that would be a nice cinema option for you. So yes, it was about Forrest Gump. It was based on the United States, the President of the United States of America's Lump. So that's where it's a parody of. But that was Weird Al Yankovic, the king of parody. I'm sure there's not much argument out there. So we move on to brand new music up next, and this band is from Stockport, Greater Manchester, and the name of the song is I've Seen the Future. It's the Blossoms Here, have a listen, see what you think. Brand new music here on Eden FM.
I was gonna stay on my own. Finally, I've come to my senses. I can feel a dark undertone. Maybe I forgot to mention I've been known to overthink life. Spend the time painting my blue. Heard you're quite the romantic type. Maybe I should just be more like you. 'Cause I've seen the future. It's you and me. Girl, I don't wanna hurt you. It's quite the opposite. Now I've got you locked in my mind. Think about the first time you kissed me. It's the day we talked for some time. And you tell me how much you miss me. I think we're in a fall of some sort. You could call it love if you want to. Tell me how you feel, keep it short. I don't think there's anything we can do. 'Cause I've seen the future. It's you and me. Girl, I don't wanna hurt you. It's quite the opposite. When I was meant to please. Upside down and inside out. It's not like that should be. Tell me where you want me, maybe I might not agree. The songs they spin for hours and I don't wanna leave. I find it hard to think now. 'Cause I've seen the future. It's you and me. Girl, I don't wanna hurt you. It's quite the opposite. 'Cause I've seen the future. It's you and me. Girl, I don't wanna hurt you. It's quite the opposite.
So that was the second instalment of the brand new music on today's show. You're listening to The Bridge. It's the fifth ever episode. It's not the first. It's the fifth ever episode of today of the Bridge. Well, that really confused me. Didn't take very much, does it? Anyway, it's the fifth episode of The Bridge here on Eden FM 107.5. It bridges the gap between the working week and the wonders of the weekend, as I like to say it, at least anyway. Thank you very much for joining me, whichever way you are joining me today, as there are many options, as I'm trying to open up as many options as possible for you to join me here on Eden FM, as I stream through Mixer, through Twitch, as well as through YouTube. So you could be watching me here in the studio and also seeing some of the behind the scenes features, what else goes on here. So find out more about that one if you will. But we'll move on with the show all the same. Up next we hear Float On. So we're not just moving on, we're floating on with Modest Mouse.
Just laughed it off, it was all okay. And we'll all float on, okay. And we'll all float on, okay. And we'll all float on, okay. And we'll all float on anyway. Well, I think you're making
All right, already. So that was Float On from Modest Mouse. You're listening to The Bridge here on Eden FM 107.5. I'm your host, LJ, and this is your community radio. It's your voice. It's your voice, your choice in the community is what I'm trying to say. And we are a volunteer-based radio station. So it is all volunteer work that gets you all of this wonderful music straight to your ear rolls. So what have we got in store next? Well, we've got about maybe 2 songs left on the first hour of the show, but there is still a second hour of today's show for you to enjoy, so do stay tuned, and there is still plenty of other things here on Eden FM still to come. But I have some features that I'd like to talk about before we get too far. We've still got 2 for Friday, and we've still got you covered, and they are 2 back-to-back songs that have some sort of logical link to them. There may also be a link to the calendar. There's your first clue for the links. So there will be 2 songs. That's the 2 for Friday. And we've also got You Covered. We've Got You Covered is all about a cover song. We tell you a little bit about its history. Maybe we'll hear a cover, or maybe we'll hear the original, but all will become clear later on in today's show. So we move on with the show with Typical Girls. Not at all. Not at all. That's just the name of the song. So that was Typical Girls from the Slits. I have to make sure I pronounce that very carefully. That was the second to last song on today's first hour of the show. We have one more song, and then I shall meet you after the news and the weather at the top of the hour. Join us in just a moment, but before we get there, we're going to listen to The Kooks and Naive. Thank you very much for joining us for The Bridge, the 5th ever episode of The Bridge here on Eden FM 107.5.
It was your fault, although you could have done more. Oh, you're so naive, yes, so how could this be done with such a smiling sweetheart? Oh, and your sweet and pretty face is such an ugly way, something so beautiful. Oh, that every time I look inside, I know she knows that I'm not fond of asking. True or false it may be, or she's still out to get me. And I know she knows that I'm not fond of asking. True or false it may be, she's still out to get me. I may say it was your fault, because I know you could have done more. Oh, you're so naive, yes, so how could this be done with such a smiling sweetheart? Oh, and your sweet and pretty face is such an ugly way, something so beautiful. But every time I look inside, I know she knows that I'm not fond of asking. And true or false it may be, oh, she's still out to get me. And I know she knows that I'm not fond of asking. And true or false it may be, she's still out to get me. So how could this be done with such a smiling sweetheart? Oh, you're so naive, yeah, so it's such an ugly thing for someone so beautiful. Oh, that every time you're on his side, I know she knows that I'm not fond of asking. And true or false it may be, oh, she's still out to get me. And I know she knows that I'm not fond of asking. And true or false it may be, she's still out to get me. Just don't let me down. Just don't let me down. Hold on to your kite. Just don't let me down. Just don't let me down. Hold on to your kite. Just don't let me down. Just don't let me down. Hold on to this kite. Just don't let me down. Just don't let me down.
On the air and online at edenfm.co.uk. This is 107.5 Eden FM.
In local news, changes to how children with special educational needs and disabilities are educated in Cumbria are being proposed in a new consultation launched by Cumbria County Council. The proposals aim to widen the range of schools able to support children with additional needs, as well as improving the flexibility and responsiveness of the current system. The council was asking parents, carers, schools and others with an interest to have their say before the 19th of July. Full details can be found at www.cumbria.gov.uk/children's services/school-organisation. Yes, /default.asp. That's an easy one to remember, isn't it? So I'd suggest you go to www.cumbria.gov.uk and you will hopefully find it. A series of public consultations and meetings are being held around the county during June and July. To us locally here, we have Carlisle on the 4th of June. That's at 4:30 till 6:30 p.m. That's in the library at Trinity School, Strand Road, Carlisle. And in Penrith on the 8th of July, 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. That's at Beaconside School, Hudden Hill in Penrith. And now just some more details on that release. Known as the Provision RP, the current system provides funding to 24 schools across the county to allow them to meet the needs of children and young people who require additional support and education, but who will not require the full range of support offered by Cumbria's 5 special schools. The additional funding RP schools receive allow them to provide more special support. This could mean additional staffing like teaching assistants and specialist teachers, as well as investment into specially adapted buildings and specialist equipment. That website address again, we'll try it one more time, is www.cumbria.gov.uk/children's services /school-organisation/default.asp. And that's the news here on Eden FM.
Eden FM weather with Worldwide Travel of Penrith. We can't promise you the weather, but we can promise you the best experience in booking a holiday. Call Worldwide Travel now on Penrith 865 918.
And here is your weather outlook for today, Friday the 24th of May, here in the Eden Valley on Eden FM. Well, it's going to be highs of around 15, maybe 16 or even 17 degrees as we get to tea time, as it heats up towards the afternoon. There is a lot more cloud about today, more so than there was yesterday, but is always going to be a good chance of a dry day until we get to very late in the evening, when there may be a shower as the weather changes towards the weekend. So to recap, should be a dry day. There is going to be a lot of sun around today, but also a lot of cloud. Highs of up to maybe 17 or 18 degrees. And that's your weather outlook here on Eden FM.
Your community station. Your 107.5 Eden FM. LJ on Eden FM.
One, two, three.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Bridge. You're listening to the 5th episode here on Eden FM 107.5. Fantastical Friday flavours featuring fabulous artists from around the world. Welcome to The Bridge. It's episode 5. And this is Eden FM. We are broadcast live from Penrith across the Eden Valley and even further via the help of the internet. Whichever way you are listening to today's show, you are very special to me and a very warm place in my heart for yous all. And you make it all worthwhile. What are we going to do with this second hour of the show? Well, we've already had our album in focus, so we shall leave the third studio album from the Bare Naked Ladies alone for this hour and this for this week, but I still recommend you add it to your collection. It was entitled, or is entitled, Born on a Pirate Ship. So we've got You Covered, which is a cover song that will be at the round about the half an hour mark of the second hour of this second hour of the show. We've got more brand new music to be sharing with you. We also look back at the charts of yesteryear, and there is still more in store with our 2 for Friday. So 2 for Friday. We're going to start off this second hour of the show with Supergrass, Pumping in Your Stereo. Coincidentally, it's also the name of the song, so they're going to be doing both, the name of the song and also, yes, So that was Supergrass with Pumping on Your Stereo. You're listening to Eden FM 107.5, and thank you very much for doing so, ladies and gentlemen. It is your voice, your choice in the community, and thank you for making what I would consider to be the correct choice and sticking with us here at Eden FM. What have we got in store? Well, as ever, the second song of the hour is usually a song from the charts of yesteryear, and this hour is no different. So that will be from this very week of 1984 from Ultravox. In at number 29, it's Dancing with Tears in My Eyes. So Dancing with Tears in My Eyes, slightly focusing on the negative side, I feel, with tears in your eyes. You couldn't have meant, you should have kept that part to yourself. That's all I'm saying, Ultravox. You should focus on the dancing part. You're still at least dancing. Anyway, that was brand new into this week's chart of 1984, in at number 29 for Ultravox, Dancing with Tears in My Eyes. Dancing with something else in the title. That's what I should say. Anyway, what are we up to next? We've got brand new music to be sharing with you, and that is from the well-established superstar artist, as he's worked with many other artists around. What do you think?
hours a day.